Hey guys, it's towniesimbuilds here, and welcome back to another bite-sized speed build. So as you can tell from the title of today's video, we are working on a very interesting build, and I have named this lot Modernized Castle Ruins. So you're probably reading that and thinking, Townie, what the heck is this? What could this really mean? And I do have to say that this is partially inspired by the recent castle kit that we did get in The Sims 4. Now, if you guys know me, unfortunately, I'm not really too big on kits. However, I did have this idea in the back of my head for quite a while now. This build was actually inspired by another Sims 4 builder by the name of 𝗧𝗛𝗏𝗡𝗚. And if you have not seen their channel, please check them out. They do amazing builds. They do have a variety of fantastical builds, historical builds, and also builds from movies. So they do have quite a collection there. But one of their builds was actually this beautiful castle estate that was built from ruins. So the exterior was a sort of older castle that was partially reconstructed, but the inside was completely modern. So this is kind of my own version. You can see I'm using a lot of get-together objects here, mainly from the debug section. So for this build, I will say that this is a small home by the tiny home standards in The Sims 4, and I'm actually housing the lot within the ruins themselves. So this was really fun. I did want to make sure that the ruins were not desecrated in any way. If anything, the house was actually created inside of it, and some of the exterior walls of the ruins are part of the structure itself. So you will see a lot of walls that are kind of filled in. I'm actually filling them in as we speak with the platform feature, so thankfully this will avoid any clipping, and of course keep the historical aspect of this build intact. Now, I will say stylistically, this was definitely a tricky build. I actually started over. I was actually working on another shell for probably about maybe 1 to 2 hours for this build, but honestly, you guys, I was not liking it. The castle itself was looking a little bit like a prison or some kind of fortress, which was not the vibe I was going for. So obviously, this is now the second attempt at this, and honestly, I just love this so much more. I was using a lot of eco lifestyle. I was keeping everything fairly light, fairly minimalistic, and like I said, this is also a more industrial build, I would say. So you will see me use a lot of eco lifestyle. I am, of course, using get together. And again, just making this feel kind of like a contrast of the old and new with the exterior. I did enjoy a lot of the landscaping. You guys did see I built this up on a very sort of rocky hillside using a lot of the get together debug rock objects. And also a lot of debug objects from cottage living as well, mainly for a lot of the overgrowth. So I'm using a lot of these ivy bits from the cottage living pack in combination with the sort of ivy objects from the get together pack as well. So I really want to make sure that these ruins, if they were part of a cathedral, a castle if you will, feel very much at home on this mountain. So nature has kind of overgrown, it's kind of taken over the walls a little bit. And even though we do have new Sims living here with a newer home inside, a lot of this has been left intact. Anyways, we are moving into the inside now, and you did see a little bit of the space come together on the first floor. So no furniture or appliances just yet, but getting a sense of layout. And I'm also adding in more windows to the upper floors as well. Now, I'm also trying to fit this ladder in. There's actually a ladder that goes to sort of a loft or rooftop deck, if that makes sense. And it was a little bit tricky fitting it in here. Obviously, lighting in The Sims 4 is a little bit tricky, so I did have to create a smaller 1x1 room for this ladder. And then using archways, Sims could kind of easily go in and out of that space. Going back to the outside now, there is one detail that I really wanted to mimic in this modern design, and it was, of course, the parapets seen on medieval castles. So as you can see, they are a series of shorter walls with holes between them, and to my understanding, this was used for both offensive and defensive purposes. But anyways, we are back to the first floor now, working on the kitchen. And this space, you guys, was very tricky. It was such a narrow space, but of course we do have a fridge, sink, counter space, and also a stove as well. And honestly, I really enjoyed the palette that was starting to shape up in the interior. It was a little bit hard, I'm not going to lie. I was trying to balance more of a natural color scheme, one that kind of blended with the ruins and the greenery itself. But of course, I still want to stick with a more industrial look for the inside. Anyways, I'm using some of these slat pieces from the Eco Lifestyle pack just to add a nice architectural element. I did also want to experiment with some accent walls, so I'm actually using wallpaper from the Jungle Adventure pack to get that really nice sort of army green tone, if you will. I'm also working on cluttering the space beneath the stairs. Again, this is a small house, so space is super crucial, you guys. I did fit in a base game wardrobe. We do have some clutter from the Eco Lifestyle pack as well, which I really enjoy. I do love that painting set and also the pillow basket, I guess I would call it. But of course, we are finalizing the entryway and kitchen as we speak. So I'm mostly using base game items at this point. I do add in my favorite doormat. I do add in some aprons next to the fridge, a clock over the bathroom door, and finally a sculpture from the Eco Lifestyle pack, which is of course this leaf carving, which I do enjoy. But now we do move on to the bathroom, and unfortunately, you guys, I did not have Snowy Escape as one of my 4 packs here, so this is kind of a partial bathroom, if you will. We do have a shower towards the left and a toilet to the right, so it's not complete. You may have to use the kitchen sink, I will be honest with you guys, but I do think this space is fairly cozy nonetheless. One feature I actually enjoy is this Eco Lifestyle shelf, which I sized down. I did incorporate a lot of objects to kind of clutter that space. So I did add a towel, some perhaps bottles of soap, and also a tissue box there. I do add in some swatches of green, just like the main area, and also add in the Jungle Adventure shower as well, which I really enjoyed the textures of, so I think it added just a little bit more flair to this space. Just finishing the space now with a towel rack and also a base game mirror, and now we are up to the second floor. The second floor mainly serves as both a bedroom space and also a teeny tiny office space as well that your Sims can use. So starting it off, we do have the full bed from the Eco Lifestyle pack, which honestly has become one of my favorites. But of course, more Eco Lifestyle as well. I do use another textured runner there, and also this possible fabricated lamp, I think it is, which did work as a nightstand light fairly well. Just adding in some clutter now to this little table with a clock, a pair of books, a small plant, and then finally the key paintings from the base game. But of course, we are moving on to our very small office space. So I figured that this is maybe a nice place to write, maybe catch up on some correspondence, do what you need to do with the space, obviously, but because it was so cramped, I had to make sure that this space was as cozy as possible. So again, using the Eco Lifestyle pack with its very lovely and modern shelving unit, putting in some plants there and also alt-placing some books from the base game as well, just to make this space feel a little bit more lived in, if that made sense. But of course, there's not really too much more to this space. I do add a full-length mirror from the Eco Lifestyle pack and the hat and coat base game object there as well. Finishing the build, we do go to the overlook, and honestly, this is another fun part of this build. It does feature a lot of activities for your Sims. One thing though that I did have to take care of was the dining space, because we had no room for it on the very first floor. So if you have a couple of Sims living here, they can actually dine up here and enjoy a lot of the natural scenery, if you will. I'm just going in and adding some of the base game outdoor lights as well, and I did my best to squeeze them into the walls themselves, kind of making it look like the lights were actually built in. Now, of course, a balcony is not complete without some plants, so I'm pulling some options from Cottage Living and also the Eco Lifestyle pack as well. And like I said, we will have other activities here on this balcony. One of them, of course, is gardening, so we do have a few of these circular base game planter boxes here. And of course, the good old-fashioned way of earning money in The Sims, we do have a base game easel, so it was a perfect place to paint. And of course, we do have the portrait object from the Eco Lifestyle pack as well. Finishing off the lot, we are just adding in a few final touches. I do extend the rocky pathway towards the bottom, and I eventually add in both a mailbox and a trash can. Originally, I was going very modern with the options, but unfortunately, they just did not fit. So I do use my trash bin of dreams from Get Together and this simple rustic mailbox as well. Other than that, there's not really too much left. I'm just using a few different base game plant options in order to smooth out a lot of the landscaping near the rock formations. Alright guys, and that is a wrap on the modernized castle ruins in the world of Henford on Bagley. I really do hope you guys enjoyed my very obscure take on castle living, and of course, seeing this industrial small house come to life within the ruins themselves. Of course, just like always, this is still a no CC, no mod limited pack build, and will be available on the Sims 4 gallery for download. I'll leave you guys now with the final lot specs, along with the final cinematic shots, so you can see how everything turned out in the end. And of course, just like always, this has been towniesimbuilds, signing off. Thank you so much for watching, guys.